Sir, regarding po sa mga NGO, non-government organization,
Yes.
Ang pagkakaalam ko, 2 years po ba yung pag hindi sila magsabit ng annual report sa CEC ay magiging valid na po yung organisasyon?
Hindi, actually, ang ano natin is 5 years yan.
5 years.
5 years. But dapat, kasi may penalties yan bawat taon kung hindi sila nagsasubmit. So, kailangan ini-remind nga natin. In fact, yung mga hindi nakapag-submit, ang hinihingi na nga lang namin, latest na lang. Latest financial statement or fund balance at saka latest general information sheet para ma-comply nila. But as much as possible, we're encouraging lahat. Kasi kaya nagpa-amnesty kami. Ngayon, we're looking at possibilities na makapag-assist tayo sa kanila.
Sir, yung amnesty nga pala, parang bago lang yun. Kailan nga po yun, sir? At ano po yung mga nakalagay sa amnesty?
Natapos na noong December last year. But we are looking for ways on how we can help.
Sir, isa po sa mga problema kasi pandemya po, marami po talaga NGO na hindi po nakapag-submit. Ano po yung mga bago nyong...
That's a right point.
Opo.
Kasi isa yan i-discuss namin sa core planning namin next week. At paano naman yung anong pwede nating bigay ng konsiderasyon para yung na-apektado sa pandemic natin.
Kasi ini message po sa ating mga kababayang NGO, CSO, baka meron kayong gusto iparating?
Well, lahat po ang SEC ay nandyan para sa inyo. Kaya tulong-tulong tayo, kaya sa mga reportorial requirements, ginagawa na nga rin natin madali yung incorporation, but at the same time, meron niyang naka-activate na responsibilidad submit ng financial statements and general information sheet. Ginagawa na namin lahat ng paraan para madali. Kung nahihirapan po kayo, you can always proceed to our extension offices. Mayroon tayo sa mga key cities na mga extension offices. They can assist you. Go to our offices, nandyan. Well, pwede kayong yung tao natin are intended to train to help you and assist you in your incorporation as well as submission ng reportorial requirements. Kung may problema kayo, tawagan nyo ako.
Okay, sir.
Sir Carlo. Sir, kami kasi yung mga media, marami din po kasi kami mga friend from the government, mga empleyado. At bilang mga friends, medyo marami kami natuklasan na medyo masakit din sa hanggan namin dahil marami pa palang mga empleyado ng government, mga GO. Itong building na to, ayaw nang bagitin, pero kasali ito na until now, 20 years, 25 years, wala pa rin silang kasiguruhan sa security ninyo. Ano bang plano ng CEC tungkol dito? Meron ba kayong magandang pwedeng gawin bilang legacy po ninyo?
Actually, meron kaming inilabas na bagong resolution dun sa preferential rating. Ibig sabihin po ng preferential rating, lahat ng mga job workers, contract service, casual, contractual, yung tinatawag natin JCOS C6 ay maaari pong mabigyan ng plus 10 points sa kanilang pag-take ng exam. Basta ma-prove lamang po nila na sila ay 10 years or more na nag-serve sa government as JCOS, as JO or COS or casual contractual. Basta may proof sila that they have served for 10 years or more, automatic po pag nag-take sila ng civil service exam, they will be given a maximum of 10 points. Ibig ko sabihin, kung ang passing rate po sa ating CSE exams, professional pati sub-pro, is 80. Ngayon po, kung naka-70 ka at qualified ka doon sa preferential rating, pwede kong mag-70 or 72 or 75 or 579, ay bibigyan ka namin ng passing score because of the maximum number of preferential points natin. Sa ganitong paraan, mas mabibigyan po natin ng chance ang ating mga J, O, at COS na makuha nila yung matagal na nilang hinahabol ng eligibility. At alam naman po natin, pag eligible ka na, mas malaki rin po ang chances na magiging regular plantilla, maka-apply ka sa regular plantilla items natin sa government. Ito yung isang hakbang o isang paraan na ginawa po ng Civil Service Commission para matulungan ang mga nasa tulong klaseng sitwasyon. In fact, dahil po nagkaroon ang next exams natin, nag-start kasi ang March exam. So nakita po namin, obserbahan namin na for this August exam, kasi August 11 na yung next Civil Service exam, so talagang napakarami po ng mga nag-apply for the exams. And so hopefully, dito, makikita uti-uti natin na magkakaroon tayo ng maraming beneficiaries ng programa nito.
Sir, mayroon po mga tinatawag natin fresh grad na mag-a-apply pa lang. So, ano pong differentiate dito sa dalawa? Yung mga matatagal na sa government na hindi pa regular or yung mga bago? Meron ba mga iba-ibang requirements or parehas lang sila?
Iba yung sa fresh grad kasi yung sa preferential rating para yan sa mga matagal na nagtatrabaho sa GO o COS. Para sa fresh grad, meron pong pinasa yung kongreso na parang pagtulong sa mga fresh graduates kasama yung civil service doon sa pagbibigay ng libre may application din po. Meron din po binibigay yung civil service kasama dito. Kami sa nagbibigay na tulong sa mga fresh graduates.
Thank you, sir.
First time applicants ang tawag dito. First time job applicants.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions from our media partners here? Okay, wala na po, I'll just read some questions from online. For clarification in the 5-day special emergency leave or SEL for the affected government employees of Typhoon Carina, in accordance with CSC Memo Circular 16 and the latter MC12, if there is already a declaration of state of calamity, do employees need to submit proof of evidence such as photos or news account aside from the memorandum of state of calamity in their respective areas? Also, can newly hired and job order employees avail of the SEL?
We have Assistant Commissioner Judy to respond.
Okay, if there's already a declaration, so there's already a public knowledge, so there's no need to submit proof. They can always file their application for emergency leave for 5 days, maximum 5 days. However, for job orders and contract of services, because they are not considered as employees of the government, they cannot avail of the emergency.
Thank you. Another question po. Do newly appointed employees render overtime and earn COC? Newly appointed employees render overtime and earn COC?
Yes, they can. For as long as there's an office order authorizing them to render overtime, and in the office order, categorically, naka-indicate doon that they're entitled to COC.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for the clarification. Another question po. Ito po, nakaka-happy anniversary for all civil servants. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced in his third State of the Nation address the approval of the Department of Budget and Management recommendation to increase the salaries of government employees. The salary increase is on top of the expected medical allowance that government employees will receive as an additional benefit starting next year. Ano na po kaya ang status ng implementation nito sa mga government agencies? Happy Civil Service Anniversary.
So as announced by the President during the State of the Nation address, we will be implementing the salary standardization 6 this year. The first tranche will be coming out this year through an executive order, which we expect to come out soon, very soon. As well as the additional health medical allowance in the amount of 7,000 pesos for qualified employees that government employees can use in order to avail of HMO benefits.
Sir, just sa qualified employees, kasama po dyan yung mga job workers?
Sorry ma'am, they're not considered as regular employees in the national.
Wala pong parang solution to at least masama din sila kahit konti yung sa medical benefits.
Currently no ma'am, but one of the efforts of the national government is, besides what the Civil Service Commission is doing, as explained earlier by Chair Carlo, we also, that there's an executive order that is being issued as we speak to extend the timeline for national government agencies, to provide national government agencies time to give their plans what to do with their JOs and COS. Again, this directive is different from the previous extension because now we are, the national government is being asked, rather the Office of the President is asking the national government agencies to provide plans, concrete plans and timelines as to what to do with their JOs and COS employees.
Sir, ilinawin ko lang po yung kanina nagiging na usapan natin tungkol sa mga class na bakante. Ano yung pinagiging solution doon? Sa mga solution sinasabi ko nila na 800 plus na job workers.
Ano ma'am, that's the reason. It's a systemic issue. It's a complicated issue. Again, it involves existing standards. So a lot of the effort is not the DBM alone. It's throughout the national government. And so that's the reason why the directive of the President is for national government agencies to provide plans. What are your plans? What are your timelines insofar as your JOs and COS are concerned? At kabalikat po nun yung efforts to the Civil Service Commission by providing preferential rating for JOs and COS who will take the civil service examination.
Sir, thank you. We have a question for UPNC Taguig University. How can the public sector ensure implementation of programs that are both socially and economically sustainable?
Okay, that's one very broad question. But I think one way to do it really is to partner more vigorously with the private sector and civil society. Because as we have noted, any effort by the public sector to promote sustainable development, sustainable management, will not be as effective or responsive. It's just done internally. So there has to be a stronger push to include civil society and the private sector. And for one, I'm happy to note yung experience na sa SEC and of course sa civil service in terms of, let's say, partnering with the private sector and civil society in different activities such as mga tree planting, even the digitalization initiatives.
Thank you, sir. So we'll read some questions from the screen. For CSC, bakit po sustainable management ang tema ng celebration this year? Magkakaroon po ba ulit ng fun run?
Yes. Yes. Actually, kasama sa schedule natin yung fun run. Dun sa bakit sustainable management, kasi yung in 2021, nagkaroon ng 10-year overarching theme, transforming public service in the next decade, so 2021 up to 2031. Next decade, honing agile and future-ready servant heroes. So yung pagka-future-ready po natin, importante po yung sustainable management. So, dati, in 2022, theme was resilience. In 2023, ang theme was dynamism. So, these are all themes, sub-themes doon sa pagiging future-ready ng ating civil service at ng ating mga civil servants. So, of course, if we want to ensure the future of the country, of the nation, of government, there has to be a real focus on sustainable management.
For DBM, regarding the right sizing, ano po kaya ang status ng implementation nito sa mga government
when we talk about right sizing, it's not a vacuum. There are ongoing efforts throughout the national government. What we're trying to do though is to centralize it. We're trying to centralize the right sizing effort so that it's data driven, it's cohesive, it's coherent, and that's the reason why that the Department of Budget Management, through the directive of the Office of the President, is trying to shepherd the bill through Congress. And if that does not take effect soon, then we are considering requesting for the issuance of an executive order. But currently, there is no central effort, but there are efforts across the various government agencies. We just want to centralize that effort in order to make it coherent and data-driven.
Thank you, sir. For UP-NCPAD, how does the institution ensure that future public servants, public ad graduates from NCPAD, are equipped to respond to the challenges of the future-ready delivery of services?
It's integrated in our curriculum. For instance, we cover different aspects of public management, including courses on features and strategic foresight. And also, we send out our students before graduating to government agencies as part of their internship. So they get to spend a considerable number of hours in a government agency where they get to be exposed to the actual workings of the government. So basically, that's how we provide both the theory and the practical experience to our students.
Sir, for Chairman Emilio, how is the SEC able to translate the international recognitions received as champion and benchmark of good governance and ensuring efficiency of the service provided relative to its mandate? What are the changes made to streamline business registrations through the years?
Okay, as I pointed out in my presentation, first, the revised corporation code, that's the latest piece of legislation covering our company as a corporate or company registrar. Nakalagay yun that we have to promote good corporate governance, okay, in line with international best practices. And the pinaka-latest on corporate governance principles was the revision made by the G20 OECD principles, which already included sustainability as one key feature of corporate governance. So, dati po kasi, yung single bottom line lang tayo, it's always about profit. Ngayon, pinupush na natin yung ESG, environment, social, and governance. So, it's not always about the profit objective and increasing shareholders' value through dividends and all. Importante na rin, you have to take care of your people. That's very important. Your people and the community where you hold your business. Importante po yun. As well as, of course, the governance, which is transparency and all. Now, ang ating mga negosyo, our businesses, especially the publicly listed companies, they are now bound on top of the audited financial statements that they submit to us. Of course, clearly, malalaman natin if they're doing, meron sila, if they're making money, they have all this profit. They're also bound to submit a sustainability report. Yung sustainability report will include disclosures on the environment, on how you address greenhouse emissions. Of course, meron tayong mga transition pa on that. That's exactly why we're pushing for a bill to be passed as a law by Congress, and it's good that we already have champions there. We're trying to push itong disclosures that could be mandated to all our publicly listed companies and even yung ating mga ordinary, the small, medium, and large companies. Ang purpose nga nito is that it is not enough that you are able to make money at the end of the year and give the dividends to the owner, the shareholders. It is important also to indicate how are you paying your people. Do you follow our labor laws? Do you follow diversity? Tinitingnan natin yan, even the ratio, yung gender equality. Ilan ang proportion of female, male, and even LGBT, diversity. Consider po yan lahat. they are required, or at least for now, they can comply, but explain if they cannot, if they don't have the information. They have to indicate that in the sustainability report, which is now a part of the attachment yan to the audited financial statement. In that way, we are able to push for this mindset, ESG mindset, sa ating mga negosyante. And soon enough also, kahit yung small, medium, and large enterprise, and wala naman tayo kailangan, there is no required justification. Ang makikita na lang natin sa nangyayari, there's too much rain, too much flooding, ang nangyayari, I mean, you haven't seen that last week. And we cannot bear, and it is, sabi nga natin, sustainability is a collective responsibility. Responsibilidad po for each and every one of us here in this room, or those listening sa atin outside.
Thank you, sir. That question is from Ethel Montemayor, also the one for the UPS earlier. So this one is from Marie Celestine Lapay, from Ethel Montemayor pa rin. From Alex Tatoy. The CSC Chair Carlo Nograles, regarding online appointments processing system, or OAPS, earlier you said it was on pilot testing. What is the current status of it? When is it going to go live?
Yes, actually, we've preliminary identified yung mga areas for the OWAPs. No? We were hoping to do the first phase sa Luzon cluster in this quarter. So this quarter na dapat yung aming so we're just finalizing. We have several areas, mostly nasa Region 4, Region 5. There's one in CAR, and of course, yan yung first phase namin sa Luzon cluster. And then ang second phase namin, which will be on the last quarter of 2024, it will cover now the NCR area. Then, of course, meron din kaming this main cluster na mag-cover sa quarter 4. It will involve Region 6, Region 7, some areas in Region 6, 7, 8, Region 10, and Region 12. And then after that, meron pa kaming plan rollout for 2025.
We have another question from Marie Celestine Lapay. For SEC, how do you maintain inclusivity of projects and reach Filipinos in areas without stable internet connection as you implement SEC Zero and ESA?
Okay, that's a good question. No? What we did, nag-beta testing pa lang tayo. So far, SEC Zero talaga is really intended to address, especially our OFWs. Maraming gusto may mga dream businesses yan. And in order to put one, they have to apply in just to get secured all the necessary licenses. And you start sa SEC. Now, instead of doing that, applying in, yung pamasahin niya na lang, pwede niya gamitin ngayon, pangpuhunan. You could do it online. So, in fact, meron kami successful case. And so far, it has been smooth, at saka madali, friendly siya yung system natin. And they do not, yung ating the system is really intended na for those who are technically challenged, madaling maintindihan. Of course, as far as those who are having some problems sa internet connectivity, meron pa rin tayong mga extension offices. Yung nga tinatanong sa akin, sinasabi nila, bakit ito nag-ano pa? Why are you putting up extension offices? Akala ko puro online na yung mga systems ninyo. That's precisely what we're trying to address. We still need to have regional presence in the different places in our country. Because precisely to cater to itong mga places where has poor internet connectivity. So we bring SEC to you so that in that way, we try to partner, ginagamit natin, we leverage networking now so that we'll be able to help yung ating mga, especially the small, medium enterprises
to help them, provide them the necessary facilities through our offices there. Kaya alam naman din natin may mga limitations. But then again, I think this is aspirational. I think it is, even the administration is here to push digitalization, di ba? To the max. Kasi that's the only way for us to stay in the race. If our country wants to be there, di ba? Kailangan tayo, we have to invest heavily on digitalization of all our processes. We cannot have to stop and not consider these initiatives only because some of our kababayans cannot make it or cannot do it.
Thank you, Sir Emilio. We have our last question for DBM and CSC. In accordance with the upcoming 7,000 medical benefit allowances for government employees, does the availment of HMOs for government offices will be compulsory by the management of their respective offices or with the initiative of their union?
We're waiting for the EO. But I'm discussing kasi ano yung maging laman ng EO. But I think the language of the EO is permissive. But of course, syempre, it's also to the advantage of the management to discuss it with their employees, their workforce. Dapat pag-usapan ng lahat. So, even as early as now, with the announcement of the President and now as confirmed by DBM that they're already working on the EO, I think it would be good for the management to start discussions already with their employees and even the employee organizations. Now with this, yung in anticipation of that amount for medical assistance, then dapat siguro mapag-usapan na kung anong gagawin doon at kung mag-engage ka with an HMO.
I think we have more questions online and on site. We have then our question and answer. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams, for the sumptuous discussion. I turn it over to you.
If I may outline din kasi ito na sagot kung kailan yung fun run, the fun run, which is called Bike Run, ako para sa mga servant heroes, ay gaganapin po sa September 1.
Thank you, our panelists and Secretary Gwen for that open forum. Now that we have finished hearing from our panelists and their answers to the questions, let's wrap up our discussion and hear from CSC Commissioner Ryan Alvin R. Acosta.
CSC Chairperson Carlos Morales, SEC Chairperson Aquino, to ABM Assistant Secretary Bodi Pulido, to PCO Assistant Secretary Rowena Matida, UP Municipal Dean Dr. Christopher Berse, our Assistant Commissioners, PIA Assistant Director General Dave Culia, the back, all the staff of the PIA and CSC, and to all our viewers watching through the live stream. Isang mapagpalang umaga po sa atin lahat. On behalf of the CSC, I would like to extend our gratitude to our friends in the PIA for hosting this year's launch. Your unwavering support to the CSC's programs is greatly appreciated. Also, please allow me to thank each and every one of you who attended today's launch, which is a crucial part of our preparations for the upcoming 124th Philippine Civil Service Anniversary or PCSA next month. As Commissioner Lizada presented earlier, the CSC has adopted a 10-year theme, transforming public service in the next decade, honing agile and future-ready servant heroes. Last year, our theme focused on dynamism. This year, we focus on goal setting, establishing targets to guide dynamic civil service we have developed. Last year, we highlighted resilience and continued assistance and support to public service continuity. For this year, we shall continue the momentum. Alongside continuity, we value sustainability, which essentially requires balancing performance with economic, environmental, and social considerations for future generations. Sustainable organizations distinguish themselves with their ability to envision the long-term, adapt a holistic approach to decision-making, and consistently align their actions with broader societal goals. Thus, it is timely that our 124th PCSA celebration emphasizes sustainable management as the key to achieving a more efficient, equitable, and forward-thinking government so that altogether, we shall unlock the collective aspirations in ambition natin 2040. As Chairperson Nagrales highlighted a while ago, a sustainable civil service should adapt to the demands of the times by utilizing available technology. We in the public sector should not be left behind. As other organizations move forward, we should likewise keep pace and perhaps even set a rapid pace in leveraging technology to improve our public service. From our guests, we learned more bridging public service and sustainable management. Much like the storytellers from Tono, Japan, Dean Berse expertly shared with us 3 stories from 3 government officials in the persons of Mayor Fonda of the city of Tono, Japan, Mayor Jokowi of the city of Solo, Indonesia, and Mr. Thomas Africa from the Philippines, the then National Statistics Office, the predecessor of the Philippine Statistics Authority. Mayor Fonda demonstrated the importance of being creative and practical in initiating progress in the face of demographic and other challenges. On the other hand, Mayor Jokowi, for his part, drew heavily from what he learned or he heard from the people in designing government programs. And finally, Mr. Africa highlighted the crucial role in making policies and programs people-centric. We have to always look for ways to offer better services to the people, and excellence does not stop. From these stories, Dr. Berse called 3 lessons. Number 1, leaders should be visionary and innovative. Number 2, there should be internal and external sustainability. And finally, we should pivot from Lingkod Bayan to Lingkod Bayani. On the other hand, BBM Asset Pulido posited that government right-sizing is pivotal in sustainable management in public governance. He discussed with us the context of the Philippine National Government Right-Sizing Program and updated us on the efforts to pass a law on this. And contrary to the fears of some sectors, Asset Pulido confirmed that the purposes of the NGRP are in fact, number 1, to address government dysfunctions, number 2, to improve organization and employee productivity, and number 3, to improve government interoperability and services. That DBM is hoping that a bill will be passed, but if not, they will probably resort to issuing an executive order. We are elated that a number of our government agencies have already proven that both sustainability and good governance can coexist. As Chairperson Aquino showed, the SEC's dynamic approach to integrating sustainable practices serves as a model for other agencies striving to achieve similar outcomes. He enumerated several sustainable initiatives that SEC has implemented over the years. Sa dami po ng digital systems na ginawa nila, hindi ko na po ulitin isa-isa yung mga acronyms, at baka sa Pasko gawan niya ako ng acronym na Ryan's Artificial Intelligence. Okay. In conclusion, the collective commitment of all government agencies is integral to building a sustainable public sector that considers social, environmental, and long-term oriented sustainability, aiding not only the development of the Philippines, but of the global society. May today's event and our September celebration remind us of the vital role that our 1.9 million civil servants play in pursuing sustainable management that is capable of meeting the challenges of tomorrow while serving the needs of today. We, your CSC, enjoin all government employees to participate in the activities and programs that the CSC and your agencies have prepared, as this is not just CSC celebration, but a month-long salutation to your contributions in delivering efficient public service all year round. Together, let's take pride in the quality of the service we provide and continue to strive for excellence through sustainable practices. Once again, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Mabuhay ang serbisyo sibil, mabuhay ang serbisyo publiko.